Well, good evening, good morning, or whatever it happens to be. TWL, the way leadership is what I'm calling it for right now, anyway. And a few of my class, those in my class, are able to view these things. I always enjoy some of the comments or the comments that you make. If you can give me some enhancements to what we have to say here. I'm just trying to show you some things that I've learned in business, in life, and those kinds of things that can be incorporated possibly into your lives. Hopefully they're of benefit to you, but only you can know that. One of the things that's important to me throughout my business life and my personal life, and as they interact and come together as they should. We've talked about personal mission statements and business mission statements and how one relates to the other, and one can't be without the other, in fact. And a good friend of mine explained this part of how to deal with life and priorities the best way that I can even imagine. At least for me, it puts things into perspective and gives life the meaning that I believe it should. So anyway, this is my attempt at sharing that with you, and again, you can comment on it and let me know if you would. Typically, what happens in life is that, we've been taught to form a mission, and also from your mission develop some goals and things like that. So, and also, as a human being, most of us work a little bit better off of lists. And I'm a big list builder. My wife is like a list builder on steroids. So then we can just check them off as we go. But in our lives, we give priority to those things that mean something to us. And this might be something that you have done. And first of all, we might just put it in a list like this that, if somebody were to ask us, what are your priorities in life? Well, you might say that God's number one. Okay? Good priority, wouldn't you agree? Second thing, you might say that family is way up there, right? Maybe thirdly, your career. Very important, especially in the culture that we have in the good old United States of America. Career is a very important thing. Fourth thing might be your interests. And we'll keep it kind of short here. Your list may be different. It may be in a different order, but hopefully you get the idea behind this. One interest might be hunting for us guys. For you gals too, there's a lot of women that are getting into hunting. So that was a huge part of my life, and probably was a little higher than number 4 for a long time. So but maybe you have a hobby. You have a sport that you play. Those kinds of things, they may fall under this fourth type of thing. The one thing, if we do prioritize like this, that I've just pointed out here, that actually we live a less full life. It's just the way it is. And like I said, a good friend of mine showed me a different way to actually view this in order to get more out of what God's purpose is for his children. And I'm just one of his children, trying to be the best disciple that I can. And with that, I want to do the best thing, and so anyway, I'm trying to learn as I go, and getting better at it as I go as well. So anyway, his suggestion is that we actually look at things more as a circle, or in a circular way. And if God is our number one priority, we don't just put him at the top of the list. Why don't we put him at the top of the list here? Is because the kid gets sick, We've got to take the kids to their sports activities. We've got to attend those sporting activities. We've got to get to parent-teacher conferences. The job is 40 hours a week, and we have to get there by 8 o'clock, and we can't leave till 5 o'clock. And so, consequently, if we're going to do any hunting, if we have any other interests, we have a tendency as a human being to forget about what we call our number one priority. If it's the number one priority, why aren't we spending more time with it, is what my big question would be. And that was the answer, was that I wasn't, in my case. So in order to get more perspective, more fullness out of life, like I said, the good friend of mine said, why don't you look at it this way? Put God in the center of your life. And put those other things around. So when you have family activities, God is injected into that family. When you're taking your son or your daughter to that sporting activity, or you're at sitting listening to the parent-teacher conferences, that you have God within the center of that. You bring God into those kinds of things. I think that the fullness that He actually deserves and asks for, tell us to do that, so that the decisions we make about our family are directed from here. They're going to look different for everybody, but they're going to look similar because we're all human beings. Career choices. If we're asked by our bosses or supervisors to do something that goes out the side of morality or ethics, which we choose to live by with a God-centered life, then this is not the career for us. And if we're asked to work on Sundays, for instance, that may be in conflict with this kind of life, and it may lead us to a better choice for us. We know that we'll be better off if you are a believer, that if we keep God as the first priority and in the center of what we know and what we do. Interests, hobbies, things we do outside of these other activities. We may involve, in most cases, especially if we have a young family, these might be all involve family and career. But if we involve God in these, all three of these things, we can have a really well-balanced life. A life that God calls us to be. He calls us to be better disciples. And if we keep partitioning, which is what we do here, then we never involve God. He wants to be a part of every bit of our life, not just small parts of it, or when we think about Him. Anyway, a little bit different perspective, maybe for you, and another way to think about things. So enjoyed it, and hopefully you got something out of it.